Good morning, and welcome to the City of Norfolk's annual Peace Officers Memorial Service. Please stand for the presentation of colors by the Norfolk Police Honor Guard, followed by the national anthem sung by Deputy City Manager.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Lord God Almighty, today we come to acknowledge and recognize the men and women in law enforcement who have given their lives in the line of duty, serving and protecting their communities. We mourn their loss together. We are aware that we have one less protector patrolling the streets, one less guardian to answer the call day or night. We come today as family to show love and respect for our fallen officers, whose memories continue to guide us daily. Lord, those who die forever live now in your presence. Their lives change but do not end. Lord, you are the everlasting comforter, and I pray fresh mercy and grace to all the loved ones affected by this unexpected storm. Lord, you said when our hearts are overwhelmed, you lead us to the rock that is higher than we are. Death leaves a heartache that only you can heal, and love leaves a memory that no one can steal. David, the psalmist, said, even though we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, we will fear no evil, for you are with us. Your rod and your staff, they will comfort us. So today, Lord, I ask that you would wrap your arms of love and peace around each and every one here today and continue to comfort the loved ones. In your mighty name I pray. Amen.
Good morning. I am Sergeant Bartley with the Norfolk Police Department Community Services Division. First and foremost, I would like to thank everyone for being here this morning, especially the family members of our fallen officers. We're honored by your presence. Before our speakers come to the podium, I would like to take a moment to recognize each of the city officials who are here with us today. Thank you all for joining us today in honor of our fallen officers and in support of the families that they left behind. It is now my pleasure to invite forward Mayor Kenneth Alexander for the City of Norfolk, who will present Chief Mark Talbot with a proclamation.
Good morning, distinguished guests, Chief Talbot, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the citizens of Norfolk and members of the Norfolk City Council, it's an honor to join you this morning in observance of Police Week and Peace Officers Memorial Day. I'm joined by members of Norfolk City Council, Mamie B. Johnson, Courtney Raleigh-Doyle, and Carlos Clanton, as well as our constitutional officers, Sheriff Joseph Barron, Treasurer Don Sessoms Hester, Commonwealth Attorney Ramin Fadahi, and Blythe Ann Scott, as well as our city manager and our entire city administration. Today we pause to honor the courageous men and women who protect our communities with integrity, dedication, and to remember those who made the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty. Each day, law enforcement officers answer the call to serve often placing themselves in harm's way to keep our neighborhoods safe and support those in need. We also recognize the families of our fallen officers. Your strength and resilience continues to inspire us, and this community stands with you in remembrance and your support. To the members of the Norfolk Police Department and to law enforcement agencies across our city, we simply say thank you for your professionalism, your integrity, your courage, your steadfast dedication to protect and serve this community. Your efforts do not go unnoticed, and we are deeply grateful for all that you do. In recognition of Police Week and Peace Officer Memorial Day, I have prepared a proclamation that I will present and read to present on behalf of the city to Chief Talbot. Chief, please come forward. City of Norfolk proclamation, whereas the President of the United States has been authorized by Congress to proclaim the week of May 11th through the 17th, 2026 as Police Week, with May 12th designated as Peace Officers Memorial Day. And whereas our citizens, government, all of levels recognize the essential role played by police department in maintaining the orderly process of good government. Whereas it is important that all citizens understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of the members of our police department and their commitment to safeguarding life and property and protecting our community against violence and disorder. Therefore, I, Kenneth Cooper Alexander, Mayor of the City of Norfolk, do hereby proclaim the week of May 11th through 17th, 2026 as Police Week, and do further proclaim May 12th, 2026 as Peace Officers Memorial Day in the City of Norfolk, and ask our citizens to observe these dates and recognize and appreciate the service rendered by those who, through their courageous deeds, have made the ultimate sacrifice. Let us also recognize and pay respect to the families of our fallen heroes, given under my hand this 12th day of May, 2026. Chief? Sir, thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
The Honorable Ramin Fadahi, a Hampton Roads native and dedicated public servant who has proudly served the City of Norfolk as Commonwealth's Attorney since 2022. With nearly 2 decades of experience as a prosecutor, he has handled a wide range of complex cases and brings a deep commitment to fairness, accountability, and public safety. Throughout his career, Mr. Fadahi has worked to ensure that justice is applied equally and that the victims and communities are heard and supported. His leadership reflects a strong partnership with the Norfolk Police Department, working collaboratively to enhance public safety and strengthen trust across the community. His service of Norfolk is grounded in a belief that the justice system must serve everyone with integrity, regardless of the background or circumstance, making him a respected leader and an impactful voice in advocating justice in our city. I welcome you now, the Honorable Ramin Fadahi.
Police Week and Peace Officers Memorial Day began 64 years ago in 1962 when Congress passed into law and President Kennedy signed an act that called, among other things, for us to honor the federal, state, and municipal officers killed or disabled in the line of duty. Since then, the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington has recorded the names of 23,785 men and women who have died in the service of others. Here in Norfolk, we gather today to honor the 39 men and women who have died for us here. Men and women like Brian Jones, Seneca Darden, Stanley Reeves, Bob Walsh, and their fellow officers. As Commonwealth's Attorney, And as a citizen of Norfolk, the first and most inadequate thing to say is thank you. Thank you for protecting us. Thank you for serving others. Thank you for being patriots. And thank you for laying down your safety and ultimately your lives for the greater good. The profession of policing is one that is different. It is one of the few places in America where both people have a license to kill if necessary in service of others, and where every morning or every night, if you're working overnight, there is an open question as a police officer of whether you will go home to see your family. This is a heavy burden, one that the Norfolk Police Department was among the first in the nation to begin to carry, and one that, under the leadership of City Council, of our city manager, and of our chief, demonstrates how 21st century policing can do things right, can be guardians and act as guardians of our citizens and protectors of the rights and dignity of all individuals. As we think about our fallen officers, those who have given their lives, I want to think about what they might say if they were here with us. Knowing the sorts of people they were, some of whom I knew, many of whom I didn't, they would probably try to deflect the credit. They may well say, don't think about me. Hopefully we'll disobey them in that. We will continue to think about them. I suspect what they would have said is, think about my spouse. Think about my children. Think about my parents. Remember them. The act of remembrance and the act of commemoration is important for us. It is, I would submit, far more important if the person you are commemorating is your own blood. The vast majority of the 39 families whose loved ones' names are engraved on the granite to your left are people who live with their loss every day, whose lives were changed in an unexpected and traumatic way, and who then had to pick up the pieces and move on. So as we honor our fallen peace officers, remember their families, and remember for them every day is Peace Officers Memorial Day. They would ask us to remember their comrades, the people who they left behind, whether wounded or whether healthy, and tell us, I would think, to give them the tools, give them the respect, and give them the safety so that they don't have to sacrifice in the way that their 39 comrades did. The City of Norfolk has done that in the best way that it can, with resources, with kindness, and with respect, things that we can carry forward ourselves going into the future. Remember, policing, by its very nature, brings our officers into contact with people who are dangerous. Dangerous because they are desperate, dangerous because they are unwell, dangerous because they are motivated by fear or by anger. The things that police officers see every day are not the things that we see. They protect us from them. Whether it is standing over murder victims, whether it is consoling victims of violent rapes, whether it is seeing dead children. They see things and do things and take risks for themselves that we do not, just as their 39 fallen comrades did. This means that officers suffer a 54% higher risk of suicide than the average person. It is, in fact, the profession with the highest rate of suicide. 3 times more officers die by their own hand every year than die in the line of duty. They are casualties also. They have higher risks, officers do, of substance abuse, of mental illness, and post-traumatic stress disorder. The best estimates that we have is that out of every 7 officers, 1 of them is either depressed or has PTSD. Norfolk is doing what it can to honor them and to help them. I have seen myself the work that the police department, under the guidance of Mark Talbot, whom I'm sure will be the best chief with whom I will ever work, both in terms of his professional work and his caring for his troops. The resources available, whether it is inpatient mental health treatment, whether it is counseling, whether it is resources and care, it is there. The other way that I think that we can honor the memory of our fallen officers is by to continue to invest in the training and in the resources that the officers need to do their work well. Things like the real-time crime center that the police department has put together that allows for the prompt arrest and apprehension of dangerous individuals makes not just our community safer, but our officers safer. The investments in body-worn cameras that allow us to see that when people complain about our officers and make accusations of police brutality, of discrimination, and of excessive force, that most of the time, those accusations are unfounded, and that our police officers are in fact doing their jobs. Training in de-escalation and the treatment of the mentally ill. That is not just the right thing to do, it is the thing to do for officer safety, so that we do not add more names to the granite on your left. But what can we do in the future, either as citizens or as a city? As Commonwealth's attorney, what I will continue to do is to honor the work of police officers, whether it is on a traffic stop or on a murder, to acknowledge the hours of sleep they miss, the dangerous situations in which they put themselves, and the instances where they do not use force, where they could have, and where at very risk to adding their names to the rolls, they find a way out without hurting anybody. To honor their work and their time, and do little things like try to get them sleep when they're an overnight and they could be in court and we can send them home to sleep instead. And continued investments from the city is, I think, what we will see. The city has always been on the cutting edge, and it will remain so because of the dedication of the public servants to my left, and the commitment to safety and the commitment to the highest professional standards from the men and women on my right. But let's not make this Peace Officers Memorial Day. Let's make a commitment to one another to remember the men and women who have died, to remember their families. About 3 years ago, I saw Captain Wash, not the Robert Wash here on our memorial, but his son, who went on to an illustrious career as captain of narcotics in the Norfolk Police Department, and then an equally illustrious career under the command of Sheriff Barron in the Norfolk Sheriff's Office. And I knew Bob from professional work. I didn't know what I know now, and I asked Bob why he was here. And Bob said, "I'm here because of my dad." And I saw a 70-year-old man get a look in his eyes where I saw the 10 and 12-year-old son who got the news about his father. Let's remember Bob. Let's remember his dad. Let's remember Brian Jones, Seneca Darden, Stanley Reeves, the people who have given their lives, and make a commitment that when we gather here again next year, we'll be able to tell each other and to tell their memories as they look out over us what we have done beyond mere words to honor their sacrifice.
At this time, I would like to read the name of each presenting organization who donated a memorial wreath: the Norfolk Sheriff's Office, the Norfolk Fire Rescue, and Norfolk Crime Lab. A special thank you for your floor tributes and support for our department. Now, in remembrance of our fallen heroes, the roll of honor, which lists the name of each Norfolk officer whose life was sacrificed in service to our community, will be read. As each name is read by the honor guard, the memorial bell will toll in honor of our fallen heroes. Officer John McNerney, end of watch, Thursday, September 22nd, 1904. Officer Rufus A. Hobbs, end of watch, Friday, July 23rd, 1909. Officer Stonewall J. Taylor, End of watch, Tuesday, November 13th, 1917. Officer Asheville T. Williamson. End of watch, Thursday, October 31st, 1918. Officer Harvey J. Babb. End of watch, Tuesday, October 21st, 1919. Officer Harry J. Charlton. End of watch, Tuesday, August 24th, 1920. Officer Edward J. Valance. End of watch, Wednesday, November 5th, 1924. Officer Daniel A. Weisbrod. End of watch, Thursday, December 6th, 1928. Officer Joseph E. Johnson. End of watch, Monday, August 11th, 1930. Officer Alan E. Lindsay. End of watch, Tuesday, August 21st, 1934. Sergeant Benjamin H. Butts. End of watch, Tuesday, January 1st, 1939. Officer Jefferson R. Holland. End of watch, Tuesday, August 17th, 1937. Officer John Franklin Harmon. End of watch, Tuesday, March 29th, 1938. Officer Arthur Herbert Barrett. End of watch, Saturday, April 9th, 1938. Officer Michael Aloisio. End of watch, Tuesday, May 23rd, 1939. Officer Frank A. Davis. End of watch, Tuesday, July 13th, 1943. Officer Robert F. Dunn. End of watch, Tuesday, July 13th, 1943. Chief of Police John Fulton Woods. End of watch, Friday, October 4th, 1946. Detective George W. Perkins. End of watch, Thursday, December 12th, 1946.
Officer Daniel E. Hobbs. End of watch, Sunday, April 27th, 1952. Officer Carlton J. Byrd. End of watch, Monday, August 25th, 1952. Officer William Warren Lassiter. End of watch, Thursday, May 1st, 1958. Officer Lewis E. Spry. End of watch, Saturday, July 26, 1958. Officer Robert C. Hill. End of watch, Wednesday, December 9th, 1959. Officer Benjamin E. Myrick. End of watch, Saturday, February 13th, 1960. Detective Robert Cortland Wash. End of watch, Tuesday, May 16th, 1961. Officer William Peterson. End of watch, Saturday, March 17th, 1962. Sergeant Robert J. Bacard. End of watch, Friday, September 3rd, 1971. Officer Lewis Willard Hurst, Jr. End of watch, Wednesday, May 24th, 1972. Officer Stephen Samuel Duras. End of watch, Saturday, June 21st, 1980. Officer John C. Thomas III. End of watch, Wednesday, April 4th, 1984. Officer Douglas Eric Dry. End of watch, Saturday, April 14th, 1984. Officer William Henry Burt. End of watch, Tuesday, February 3rd, 1998. Officer James B. Gilbert. End of watch, Friday, September 28th, 2001. Officer Sheila Herring, end of watch, Thursday, January 16th, 2003. Officer Stanley Cornell Reeves, end of watch, Friday, October 28th, 2005. Officer Seneca Bailey Darden, end of watch, Sunday, May 21st, 2006. Officer Brian Jones, end of watch, Friday, May 30th, 2014.
At this time, the Norfolk Police Honor Guard will present a rifle salute, followed by the playing of taps.
Point, point. Ready, and aim, and ready, and aim, and ready, and aim, and